Okay, I'm Maddie's grandmother, and my name is Jane Bohunicky.
And I'm her grandfather. My name is Martin Bohunicky.
Okay, Maddie, go ahead.
Okay. What kinds of food did you have?
Who are you asking the question to first, Maddie?
Yeah. Are you recording?
Yeah.
On Christmas Eve, it was very traditional for us to have 5 or 6 different kinds of fish. It was strictly a high fast day. We had absolutely no meat on Christmas Eve.
And ours, we had a ethnic soup Grandma used to make out of sauerkraut. And we used to have little wafers that each one of them got. We had to eat that there. And nuts and what you call it? I can't think of the name it would call it in a song, you know, for you, but it used to be ethnic food we used to have. Grandma used to make.
Well, ask him to describe what it looked like, Maddie.
What did it look like?
It was like made out of poppy seeds. They have noodles made out of poppy seeds and different things like that. It was a numerous amount of food we had, all small quantities of each.
What kinds of presents did you get?
Well, presents were all homemade things. Usually like clothing of some kind. We never got anything really big because those were hard times. But whatever we got, we just loved. We never were envious of anybody that got any big presents. We just loved what we had.
We used to get mostly clothing, shoes, stockings, and sweaters, a few books, and that was it.
Okay, one more thing I forgot to tell you. Christmas Eve was very traditional for us to get 1 orange and a bag full of nuts. And that used to be what was in our stocking. And that was a big treat.
Okay. Where did you get your Christmas tree, and what kinds of decorations did you have?
Christmas tree we always bought in the commercial lot. Of course, at that time it was only about 20 cents or 50 cents for a nice tree. And as far as decorations, were all homemade, like chains. Once in a while, if we could afford it, we'd go out and get an ornament of some kind. But mostly homemade things on our tree.
We used to go out in the woods and chop our tree down. And sometimes we'd infringe on a state land and chop a beautiful tree down, and we would bring it home and decorate it up. And I generally sprayed the trees with silver. And the ornaments, when I was small, we used to have real candles, and we used to light each candle individually, which was very dangerous. And we had to watch the tree continuously while the candles were burned, then we'd blow it out and we'd go to bed.
Okay. Who came to your Christmas?
Hold on. Okay, ask the question, Maddie.
Who came to your Christmas? Who came to your?
Well, Christmas we used to have a house full. We come from a large family. So all the sisters and their husbands, brothers and their wives and their children all came over for Christmas Eve. It was a very full house. It was a joyous night.
How many people?
There was just 2 of us in the family, my brother and me, and there was no relatives we had close by that came over the house. It was mostly a family, get together. That's all it was.
What kinds of games did you play? Like inside?
Whatever we can think of, like we play checkers and card games. And that's about it.
We usually played with the games that we got. They were like checkers and follow the numbers, and that was not too many games that were given to us.
What games were played in the snow?
Oh, we used to go sleigh riding. Of course, we always build the traditional snowman. Snowball fights. We used to build forts. We used to have fun that way.
We used to build a hut out of snow. We'd pile the snow up, we'd shovel the driveway, make a big tall pile, then we used to dig a hole in it and crawl into that hole with our snow house. That was our main feature. We'd go sleigh riding too.
Oh, one more thing, Maddie. One thing we always did. We always made those snow angels. That was a must.
Okay, what'd you sleigh on?
We had a regular little sleigh.
That's what we did, the sleigh, that's all we did.
What kinds of carols did you sing?
Well, the old traditional ones, Silent Night, Come All You Faithful, and the old songs.
That's what we used to play and sing. The ones that we sang in school, like Silent Night, Holy Night, and Little Town of Bethlehem, they were standard in school, so we sometimes we'll sing them home, but not generally. We were playing with our toys, what we got.
Where'd you go on Christmas?
Christmas we always stayed home, because the gang that was there Christmas Eve always came back on Christmas.
We stood home. We didn't have too many relatives around, and each person stood home in their own home and enjoyed the Christmas.
What did you wear on Christmas?
Maddie, as much as I hate to admit this, but I always had me hand-me-downs. I was the youngest of all the children. So whatever they outgrew, I got into, but they were always clean and nice.
Ask how many kids were in Grandma's family.
How many kids were in your family?
There was 10 of us. My mother had 14, but there was 10 of us that I can remember of.
There was just two of us, me and my brother. And that's about all that. I can't remember the question, what there was.
What was the question?
You got to talk louder.
What do you wear on Christmas?
The usual regular clothes that we wore to school. Unless we went to church, then we put on our Sunday togs and enjoyed the Christmas Eve that their way.
What did you call Santa Claus?
I'm sorry, Maddie, I didn't hear you.
You got to talk louder.
What did you call Santa Claus?
What did we call him?
Yeah.
Oh, we called him Santa Claus or Saint Nick. Yeah.
I forgot what we used to call them. Usually they confuse us. They say an angel's coming, then the Santa Claus is coming, so we always call him Santa. That's what we call him mostly.
What kinds of house decorations did you have?
What kind of what?
House decorations.
House decorations? Well, like I said before, they were mostly homemade, like chains and tinsel. Always had tinsel. And maybe garland. I can't quite remember, but that's about the size of it.
We didn't have too many decorations at that time. We just had the Christmas tree, and that was just about it. There was no house decorations or anything like outside they have now, lights. Our time they didn't have that, lights or anything.
Hold on a second, Maddie. Okay, go ahead.
How did you feel about Christmas?
Well, we were always excited about it. It has to be one of the best holidays. Of course, the church functions came in there, and I came in first. It was a joyous day. We loved it.
Yeah, it was very, we all looked towards for Christmas. We were going to get a present. We were just high hopes of what we're going to get. We didn't get what we wished for, but we generally got something useful.
How did you help out?
Well, we all helped out, really. Whatever had to be done, we girls did it all. Mother did enough, so we used to take over. Helped out with everything.
We didn't do much because our mothers took care of just about everything, and we just kept out of their way.
How early did you wake up?
Oh, it was quite early. I'm sure I don't know exactly the time, but I'm sure it was quite early in the morning.
Yeah, we did too. It was pretty early before our mothers and fathers got up. We went downstairs and see what we got for Christmas. But we were surprised at whatever we got, we got.
What special activities or traditions did you have?
Louder, Maddie.
Special activities or traditions did you have?
I don't know how to answer that one.
We had to go to church. That was a necessity, number one thing.
Yeah.
We went to church first thing in the morning after we seen our presents. Then we would go to church.
Yeah, that was for sure.
And then we stuck around, played with our toys, and read the books, and tried on our clothing, and that was about it.
Well, the biggest activity had was to go to midnight mass. We all got together and went to midnight mass. Of course, half of us fell asleep in it. But it was fun.
Ask how we got there.
In our time, they didn't have no midnight mass. They just had the early mass in the morning. It was later on in life that they started the midnight mass.
That's how they got
How
the
do people get there?
church.
How
The
can-
transportation,
Yeah.
oh, we usually walk. We didn't have a car.
How,
But fortunately, our church was pretty close, so it wasn't too bad.
how do people get to your house on Christmas Eve?
The public transportation, that's about it, because there weren't too many cars out.
We used to walk to church. We always went past your mommy's grandparents' house. I walked past her house, down a hill, over the railroad track into the church. That was a long walk, and it was cold, it was treacherous.
When did you get your Christmas gifts?
When did we get up?
Yeah.
In the morning when we got up, they were under the tree already.
No, we usually got ours at Christmas Eve, to be honest with you, Maddie. That's when all the family and the kids were there, and that's when we opened up our gifts. The only exception was in the morning in our stocking when we got the orange and the nuts.
I remember when I was a little kid, very small yet, we used to have a big stove in a parlor. And we used to bring it down in the winter time and light up and keep the parlor warm. And one Christmas, they let the fire stay on there overnight. And I didn't get no presents. I didn't find them under the tree. And I says, you had a fire in the stove and Santa Claus couldn't come down that chimney to get there. And I cried all that day because he didn't bring me up. They says, Santa Claus will bring you something, Santa Claus will bring you something. And he did too. So that was all that noise crying for nothing.
How big of a celebration did you have?
Well, that was a big one for us. That's one time when all the family got together.
We didn't have too much. It was just very few of us. We just had our lunch and dinner and that was it. We celebrated all together.
What did you have for dessert?
Yeah. Grandma usually made some pudding or something like that there, or cake, and that was it. They didn't have that time, didn't have Jell-O, and ice cream was out of question. They didn't make ice cream in the winter time. And Grandma would bake some cookies, that's true.
Yeah, Grandma and my mother, which is your grandma, used to make some homemade Italian cookies. But the adults, what they used to have was sliced peaches in a little glass of wine. That was their treat.
Grandma used to make what they called, your father and mother would know it's baked, buchti. That was a confection that the people from their country had when they were little, so Grandma just carried on the tradition. That was something to look forward to.
What made this party fun?
Oh, because the family was together and all the children, and all our sisters games. It was just a fun time for the family to get together.
We just enjoyed our presence. That's what it was, Maddie.
What else you got there, Maddie?
That's it.
That's
I
it.
think you should say thank you for letting me interview you, Grandma and
Thank you
Grandpa.
for letting me interview Grandma and Grandpa.
It was
Wait,
our pleasure,
Maddie?
Maddie.
Yes.
Say it again, but this, wait a minute, I want you to wait till it's got a clean tape.
Wait
And
till.
then say,
What are you waiting
because
for?
this is gonna be, she's doing the
Go ahead.
Thank you for letting me interview Grandma and Grandpa, and thank you for the memories.
Maddie, it was our pleasure, really
Very
was.
much, very much. It was something that's out of the ordinary.
You make our life complete.
Go ahead, Maddie. Ask the question.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Sit back,
No,
Maddie.
Maddie, that's about it. I just hope it stays in your mind what we used to have. I hope you have just as much fun as we used to have.
See, in our time, Maddie, there was more snow than now. The snow was up as tall as my head. Of course, I wasn't as tall as I am now, but I was about your height. And the snow would about reach the top of our head. And it was fun going playing in the snow and making snowmen and building huts, go skiing. But not too much skiing. We had to make skis out of barrel staves. And that was our skis. We enjoyed ourselves.
Explain that. What do you mean barrel staves? What is
The
that?
barrels got staves in, the old-fashioned barrels, you know, they had,
The slats,
Oh.
the slats of the barrel.
Oh, is that what you did? How
Yeah.
did
They were curved.
they were curved like that there. And we'd
Oh.
nail some straps outside and wax on the bottom, and we'd go down a hill.
And we used to get the top of a garbage can, really, to be honest, and to go sleigh riding down a hill.
And
Yeah.
I think you guys used to use shovels, like,
Yeah, not too much. They didn't have that kind of snow shovels.
Talk about the garbage can lids again. Just tell Maddie.
Okay, in our time, sometimes there were so many of us that we all didn't have a sleigh naturally. So the rest of us would get maybe a top of a garbage can and sit in it and go down the hill, and we had just as much fun with it. They were great times, Maddie. Not any money, but great times.
All set, Maddie?
yep.
How long-
I think.
Say hi. My name is Madison Bohunicky.
Say,
I'm 9 years old.
Madison Bohunicky. Okay, we're gonna talk about Christmas, but go ahead.
Hi, I'm Madison Bohunicky and I'm 9 years old, and this is my grandpa Bohunicky, and this is my grandma Bohunicky.